Hey everyone, Monstar here, your resident fox spirit who's been navigating the wild, wonderful, and sometimes wallet-wrecking world of gacha games for, well, let's just say over a decade now. There is one thing I hear constantly though, a complaint that echoes through every gacha community like a badly timed maintenance announcement. It's about whales and pay to win. You know the drill. This game is pay to win. Whales ruin PvP. It's impossible to compete unless you drop a grand. And while in some games this is absolutely true, this video is not really focusing on those hopeless and greedy monsters. Now, don't get me wrong. Are some pay-to-win tactics scummy? Absolutely. Greedy? You bet. Shitty and unfair? Often the case, yes. Look, I get that the developers gotta eat as well, but sometimes it feels like they're trying to dine on your firstborn. Sometimes even on your second or thirdborn, in order to be able to buy their 7th yacht. That's right, folks. Today, I want to talk about something a little more spicier. A truth that might be a bit hard to swallow for some of you. What if I told you that even if we magically Thanos snapped all the whales out of existence and every gacha game became the epitome of fairness? Will a lot of you folks complaining still not be at the top? That the real reason for a lot of the salt isn't just the pay to win, but something a bit more personal? Intrigued? Annoyed? Already typing a furious comment? Good. Stick around then, because we're diving deep into the gacha psyche. Let's first unpack why we really hate whales and pay to win, and what it says about us, the players. Alright, let's address the big, green, and cash-filled elephant in the room. Pay to win. What even is pay to win in the context of a gacha? Generally, it's when a game allows players to gain a significant advantage over the others by spending real money. This isn't just about cosmetics, no. We're talking about things that directly impact gameplay. More powerful characters locked behind a paywall only? Pay to win. Better gear locked behind a paywall only? Pay to win. Faster progression by giving more attempts at content? Well, that one is still up for debate. Let me know down in the comments, what do you think about this? Is it or is it not pay to win? Let's be brutally honest here now. Some of these tactics are, to put it mildly, aggressively designed to pry open your wallet. Limited time banners with meta-defining units that have drop rates lower than my motivation on a Monday morning. Stamina systems that feel like they were designed by someone who personally hates your free time. Exclusive bundles that offer a shortcut for the price of a small nation's GDP. Yeah, I've seen them all. It's the gacha equivalent of a sales pitch, but with more anime waifus and husbandos this time. The argument, and it's a valid one, is that these mechanics can create an uneven playing field. If someone can swipe their credit card and get the SSS tier ultra mega rare unit or gear with perfect stats, while a free-to-play or low-spending player has to grind for months and months, potentially with no guarantee of similar results, it feels inherently unfair, especially in player versus player aka PvP modes, where you're directly pitted against these leviathans of expenditure. It can feel like bringing a well-crafted paper airplane to a dogfight with an F-22 Raptors. And I get it. I truly do. As someone who's poured countless hours into these games, and okay, maybe a bit of cash here and there over the years, don't judge me. Those Fate Grand Order banners were brutal. I'm looking at you, Merlin. Would it have killed you to come to me, especially on a Christmas day? You dick-ass wizard! Sorry about that. As I was saying, it's frustrating to see progress or victory easily bought rather than earned. It can devalue your own efforts and make the competitive aspect feel hollow. It's the part where the game in the gacha game starts to feel a little thin and the monetization strategy part gets uncomfortably thick. So yes, pay to win can be scummy. It can be greedy. It can be shitty. We've established that. The developers are running a business, sure, but sometimes the line between sustainable income and predatory practices gets blurrier than my vision after an all-night farming session. But is that the only reason people get so heated? Is it solely the fault of the whales and the pay-to-win systems that many players don't reach top ranks? Well, that's where things get a little more complicated. So, we've acknowledged that pay-to-win can be a real issue. But now, let's plunge in deeper into these murky waters towards the part of the discussion that often gets conveniently overlooked when the pay-to-win pitchforks comes out. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Even if every gacha game was perfectly balanced, which can be very boring by the way, even if the only thing you could buy was a fancy hat for your characters, a significant portion of the player base complaining about pay to win still wouldn't be top tier players. Oof, there, I said it, and I can already hear the keyboards clacking. But Moon, that's not fair, it's the system. And yes, the system plays its part, as we discussed, but it's not the whole story. What about skill? What about strategy? What about dedication, and I dare say, the sheer grind that many of these games, even free-to-play friendly ones, demand at the highest levels? Look, being a top player in any competitive game, gacha or otherwise any sport in general for that matter, takes more than just having the best units or the best gear. It takes an understanding of the meta, intricate knowledge of character kits and synergies, smart resources management, and very often a significant time investment. It's about knowing when to push, when to save, how to counter specific strategies, and how to adapt. It's work, and sometimes it's a lot of work. And you know what? We've seen proof of this. Let's talk about Epic 7, a game I sunk many, way too many hours into. It has its gacha elements for sure, but it also has an incredibly deep and complex PvP scene. And guess what? There was this one Epic 7 World Championship where a completely free-to-play player, someone who hadn't spent a single dime on the so-called pay-to-win advantages, made it all the way to second place. Second in a global tournament against players who likely had access to every meta unit, every artifact, and every gear money can buy. How, you might ask? Pure skill, deep game knowledge, incredible strategy and drafting, They outplayed, outtaught, and outmaneuvered opponents who, on paper, might have had better accounts. This isn't an isolated incident in the broader gaming world either. We've seen dedicated players in many genres and actual sports overcoming financial disadvantages through sheer tenacity, talent, and a lot of hard work. So, when someone says, I'd be a top player if it wasn't for these whales, I have to skeptically raise an eyebrow and ask, would you? Would you really? Or is it perhaps, just perhaps, that reaching that pinnacle requires a level of dedication, strategic thinking, or even a certain type of, let's call it, meta engagement that not everyone possesses or is willing to commit to? It's far more easier to blame the whales with the maxed out credit card than to admit that maybe, just maybe, you haven't mastered the game's intricacies, or maybe you just don't have 40 hours a week to dedicate to optimizing your waifu army. This isn't about get good scrub, by the way, though this sentiment, however crudely expressed, sometimes pokes at this underlying truth. It's about acknowledging that high-level play in complex systems, even gacha systems, often demands more, far more, than just the absence of pay-to-win. It demands a specific kind of engagement, and that's a tough pill to swallow, especially when you feel like you're already putting in the work and effort. So, if it's not just about whales or the pay-to-win mechanics preventing everyone from being a top-tier god gamer, why does it generate so much genuine anger? Why the fury and keyboard smashing rage when you get demolished in PvP by someone whose team is clearly sponsored by their dad's oil money, or when you see that shiny new unit you've been saving for months only for someone to get it on their first multi after buying a special offer pack? Or while we're at this, when you hear that good old phrase, just got it in one single pour. Is it good? F2P, by the way. I think a big part of it comes down to a few psychological triggers. Firstly, there's the perceived de-evaluation of effort. You've spent weeks, maybe even months, carefully planning your resources, grinding out gear, planning that perfect build, and then someone waltzes in, credit card blazing, and achieves a similar or even better outcome with significantly less perceived effort. It feels like your hard work, your dedication, has been cheapened. It's like meticulously building a sandcastle only for someone to pluck a prefabricated plastic castle next to it. By no means this is meant to glaze the F2P prize. You people are in a total different league of your own that deserves a whole entire video on their own. Secondly, it's about what we perceive as fairness and justice. Humans have a pretty strong innate sense of fairness. When we see someone bypass the struggle, the journey, the learning process that we associate with the achievement, it can feel like a violation of an unspoken social contract. They didn't earn it the way I did it, or I'm trying to. In short, and layman's terms, we get salty and jealous as fuck, and this is especially potent in PvP. Losing a tight and close fight is one thing, but losing to someone you feel had an unearned, purchased advantage feels like being cheated, even if the game rules technically allows it. Yet on the flip side, when we win against a whale, oh boy, some of us get a huge big-ass ego and pride inflation, and some of us even become hell of a toxic player. Don't lie, you know you've been there too. You feel like you deserved that win because you put in the work and the grind and they didn't. Then there's the resentment of shortcuts. Many of us, especially those of us who've been gaming for a while, come from an era where skill and dedication were the primary paths to success. Leave a like or a comment if you remember the era where games were hard and we just had to try everything we could think of it to win. Or, go on DLH and look up the cheat codes or trainers for that game, but we don't talk about that. The idea that you can just buy your way past challenges can be deeply unsatisfying to watch and infuriating to compete against. It's like watching someone use cheat codes in a single-player game, which no one ever does or done that before, right? Except now those cheat codes are monetized and impact your multiplayer experience. And let's be real, PvP magnifies everything. In a single-player PvE gacha like Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves, a whale is just someone enjoying the game in their own way. Or so it should be. Maybe they clear content 5 or 10 seconds faster, fine, whatever. But in PvP, their advantage directly impacts your experience, your rank, and your rewards. It's no longer an abstract unfairness. It's a concrete wall you're smashing your face against. Every loss to a perceived pay-to-win player can feel like a personal insult, a reminder that your skill or dedication might not be enough against a sufficiently large bank account. It's where, again, the game part truly clashes with the business model part in the most visible and infuriating way. And here's what is a bit funny and maybe ironic too. Sometimes, just sometimes, I think some of the loudest pay-to-win complaints come from people who are bronze and or would be whales if they could be. It's a bit of sour grapes situation, isn't it? I can't afford to buy my way to the top, so it's unfair that anyone can. It's a human reaction, but it adds another layer to the outrage. So the anger is complex. It's not just one thing, it's a cocktail of perceived injustice, jealousy, salt, devalued effort, resentment of shortcuts, and the very direct impact of these systems in competitive environments. It's less about the objective reality of whether everyone could be a top player and more about the feeling that the playing field itself is tilted in a way that money, not just skill or time, dictates the slope. Okay, we've dissected the pay-to-win beast. We've faced some uncomfortable truths and we've explored the tangled mess of emotions that gacha games can stir up. So what now? Do we all just uninstall, touch some grass, and find inner peace? Tempting. Some days, not gonna lie, especially after a particularly brutal summoning session or losing streak, but for those of us who genuinely enjoy these games, the stories, the characters, the communities, the strategic depth when it's there. What's the path forward? Firstly, and this is on us, the players, a mindset shift. We need to be honest with ourselves and about what we want from a game and what we're willing to put in. If your goal is to be the absolute top 0.1% of a highly competitive PvP gacha, you either need the wallet of a small deity, the skills of a tactical genius with infinite time, or a combination of both of them. If that's not you though, maybe aiming for pretty good, just having fun, or I'm just enjoying the story is a more realistic and healthier goal. It's also about managing expectations. Not every game is designed for everyone to be a world champion, and that's okay. The Epic 7 F2P finalist is an absolute inspiration for us all, but also an outlier who likely poured an incredible amount of effort, work, and talent into the game. Their success doesn't mean everyone can or should achieve that if they just try harder against a pay-to-win backdrop. It means skill can shine, but the odds are still what they are. Secondly, there's the developer's responsibility. Dear developers, we get it. You need to make money. Servers aren't free, and neither are the talented artists and writers you hire. But again, there's a difference between a sustainable business model and one that feels like it's actively trying to exploit psychological vulnerabilities in order to get your 7th yacht. More transparency, less predatory FOMO tactics, and perhaps, just perhaps, designing PvP systems where skill and strategy can genuinely overcome a moderate spending gap would go a long way. Epic 7 and the new upcoming Ethereal restart are pretty damn close to that, as we discussed earlier. Maybe even consider a stamina system. Doesn't make me feel like I need to schedule my entire day around an energy regen system. Just a thought from a gacha veteran. If you want to know more about this, then check my video on it. Thirdly, find the right game for you. Not all gachas are created equal. Some are far more generous to F2P players than others. Some have PvP that's more about bragging rights than essential progression. Some are hugely pay to win, and I mean you literally can't even get out of bronze without wailing. And some are entirely PvE focused. Do your research. If you hate aggressive pay to win, don't play games notorious for it. Then spend all your time on forums complaining about it. There are games out there, like some I've enjoyed over many years, where you can have a fantastic experience without ever opening your wallet or by just spending a little on things you genuinely value, like a cool skin for your favorite Foxgirl waifu. And finally, a bit of advice on how we handle shit here in Romania. Just learn to laugh at the absurdity of it. In a funny and chill way, I mean. Sometimes, when you see a team that costs more than your entire rent obliterate you in 0.5 seconds, all you can do is chuckle and maybe make a joke. Damn, I feel like I just got smacked with my rent money over the face. Or, oh right, I need to pay my rent tomorrow. Thanks for reminding me, whale. It's a game. A silly, flashy, sometimes infuriating, but ultimately optional digital pastime. Don't let it steal your real-life joy, or your real-life savings, if you can help it. The point is, while we should absolutely call out genuinely predatory practices, a lot of the ongoing frustration also stems from a mismatch of expectations, a misunderstanding of what it truly takes to be at the very top, and perhaps not always choosing games that align with our spending habits or competitive desires. So there you have it. My little, or perhaps not so little, analysis on why we get so fired up about whales and pay to win in our beloved gacha games. It's a messy, complicated issue, isn't it? On one hand, yes, absolutely, some monetization practices are extremely exploitive and they can create genuinely unfair playing fields, especially in PvP. We should continue to call those out and advocate for better and more player-respecting designs, at least the illusion of player-respecting designs. But on the other hand, it's also not as simple as pay to win bad, free to play good, whales evil. The uncomfortable truth, as we explored, is that even in a perfectly fair system, not everyone is going to be a top tier player. High level play often demands an immense amount of skill, strategic depth, time investment, and a specific kind of dedication that goes way beyond just logging in for your dailies. The Epic 7 free-to-play Vice Champion is a testament to what's possible with sheer talent, but they are also a reminder of the dedication and a lot of work that is required for it. My overall point in this, after all my years trekking through these digital worlds, isn't to defend predatory pay-to-win. Far from it. It's to encourage a more nuanced conversation. It's to suggest that maybe, just maybe, some of the frustration we feel is misdirected or at least oversimplified. Sure, it's extremely easy to blame the whale, but it's a lot harder to look at the game's design critically and our own expectations or skill ceilings. So what's the real gacha game here then? For us players, it's about being informed consumers, choosing games that align with our playstyles and spending habits, and being honest about our own goals and limitations. And hey, maybe it's also about reminding us to just have fun, even when that level 100 fully maxed out Leviathan wipes your carefully crafted team. Sometimes you just gotta laugh at it, right? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Am I completely off my rockers? Or does this resonate with your own gacha experience? Drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And if you want to hear more ramblings from an old fox who's seen far too many summoning circles, hit that like button, subscribe, and the notification bell. As well as follow me on Twitter and Twitch if you wish to catch my streams. Until then, stay savvy, stay sane, and may your gacha pools be blessed. Moonstar out!